Today I want to talk to you about my long-term ownership of the Benelli Bn 302. The model that I'm riding it's 2015, made for Asian market. I believe this motorcycle was assembled in Malaysia. Most of the parts I think was made in China as well. Which brings a little bit of history here. When I first purchased this motorcycle, I sort of looked up on the internet and asked people around. And being a Chinese brand, this motorcycle had a bit of negative reviews. People were saying screws will fall out, engine will fall apart, quality is totally unacceptable, etc., etc. But then I decided, well, what the heck, let's just try. And also the price was a huge factor. Before this motorcycle, I rode a Yamaha TFX 150cc, which was around 86 million Vietnamese dongs, roughly 4,000, less than 4,000 US dollars. But unfortunately, it was only 150 cc's, and I did not like the ride. Feeling kind of like wobbly when riding that very lightweight motorcycle. So I sold it and lost roughly 20 million VND on that. At that time when I shopped around, there was Kawasaki and Yamaha MT-03, which was a lot more expensive though. And this bike in the shop was only around 91 million VND. So it was around 40 million, 2,000 US dollars cheaper than Japanese motorcycles. So I decided, well, alright, let's try and see if it's okay. Right, so in July 2018 I went to the shop and purchased this, and it was the last unit on display as well though. It was in the shop for nearly 2 years. Originally this motorcycle was $5,100. When I purchased it, I got it for $4,300. So that was a huge plus in terms of investment. Okay, so enough history, let me give you guys a little bit of a technical specs of this motorcycle. Basically, a displacement, it's 300 cc engine motorcycle or 18.3 cubic inches. The engine type is twin 4-strokes, and it has horizontal cylinders, and that's the reason why you hear this roar. Power is pretty modest. It's only 38 horsepower and 10,000 RPM, and it comes with roughly 27.4 Newton meters of torque at 9,000 RPM. The compression goes at 12.0 over 1, and of course it has 4 valves per cylinder. The fuel system is injection with 2 throttle bodies with 37mm. Fuel control comes with double overhead cams. The lubrication system is wet sump. Cooling system is of course liquid. Gearbox 6-speed. Transmission is chain type, and it comes with a 15 teeth front sprocket and 44 teeth rear sprocket. Now the best part about this thing is emission is only Euro 3. It has a catalytic converter and oxygen sensor, but that's about it. I mean, since it was made for Asian market though, Euro 4 was not made though, and of course that's another reason why it's so cheap though. What else? So the frame type is steel trailers in steel tubes. Comes with upside down forks, and front wheels comes with, the front wheel travel is 135 millimeters. Rear suspension is rear swing arm with lateral shock absorber with extension hydraulic brake and spring preload adjustment. And the rear wheel travel is roughly 46 millimeters. Now, when I first bought this motorcycle, it had an unknown brand of tires, which was 110 millimeters for the front and 140 millimeters for the rear. And honestly, I hated it. When I started riding on the highway at about 80 kilometers per hour, the bike felt like it was flying. I hated those tires, so I switched them immediately to Michelin 120 millimeters in front and 160 millimeters at the rear. So that's was the actual size is, front tire is 120 over 70 ZR17, and rear tire is 160/60 ZR17. Right, so the front brakes comes with double disc 4 piston calipers with no ABS, and the rear brakes is single disc 2 piston calipers, and the rear brake diameter is 240 millimeters. Then the wheels are aluminum alloy. So, and now this is the interesting part of this motorcycle though. So the dry weight is 185 kilograms or 407 pounds. Now the wet weight, including oil, gas, etc., etc., is roughly 196 kilograms. So that's pretty hefty for a 300cc motorcycle. So I mean, a Kawasaki Z650 weighs that much. Of course, it comes to twice the power. So of course, if you compare it with Yamaha or Kawasaki 300cc's or even Honda, those take off a lot faster and they feel a little bit lighter, which means that when you travel on the highway, especially potted bad surfaces like in Vietnam, I'd say I prefer Benelli a lot more because of that. So, but anyway, each to his own. But this is my video of my opinion regarding this motorcycle and long-term ownership. I can actually like it much better than Japanese bikes. So, fuel consumption. Basically, it comes with a fuel capacity, a fuel tank of 16 liters or 4.2 gallons, and the reserve fuel is roughly 3 liters. So yeah, when you goes like, when the bike comes to near 3 liters in the tank, the indicator will start blinking. You'll let the rider know that it needs to be refueled. So that was the kind of brief spec sheet of this motorcycle. Nothing fancy, to be honest. I mean, it's a Chinese made. It has some of the good stuffs. Then it's really heavy. It's really heavy, which is not really good, and does not have ABS. But then it's a pretty good thing for beginners, so that we learn to control brakes better. So let's talk about negative stuffs. Right, as you remember, in the beginning I said that it was a Chinese-made motorcycle, so comparing with the Japanese bikes, wasn't as good as that. When I first bought the bike, as I rolled it out of the shop, after a few kilometers, I noticed that the fans didn't spin, even though the engine reached 100 degrees. I was worried though. So I rolled a little bit more and stopped the bike, started pushing a little bit, waited for about 20 minutes for the engine temperature to go down a little bit, and I discovered that the fan sensors failed, because usually the bike's fans start spinning at around 89, 90 degrees Celsius, but with this thing it went up to 105. And mind you, July temperature in Vietnam, it's really hot now. I mean, outside temperature is like 36 and 37 degrees, so having the engine going up to 105, it's frustratingly hot for the legs though. And you know, as the engine was heating up, I found that the speed sensors were messing up a little bit. I was going 40 or 50, but it was not showing anything. It was showing 0. So I took it back to the dealership. They told me to leave the bike for a night and they'll fix it under warranty, which they did. Good thing. Didn't cost me anything though, but that was the problem. So fast forward, 5,000 kilometers. Starter relay failed to work. I mean, it just got burnt for some reason. I mean, usually starter relays last forever on Japanese bikes, but for this bike, 5,000 kilometers. I called dealership and they said, bring your bike back, we'll fix it. If you leave the bike overnight, etc., etc. I said, nah, forget it. I'll just take it to the shop. So I found a reliable mechanic. He said, I'll fix it for you, $20 or so. So I brought it over. It took me about 2 hours. He fixed it. And the best thing about this thing is that when my starter relay failed, I was panicking a little bit, right? This is my second motorcycle. Didn't know much about motorcycle actually. I called him and I said, hey, I couldn't start my motorcycle. What do? He said, okay, well, put your bike to the second gear and start pushing it. And started. That's what I did. So now I know that I actually didn't need a starter relay though. But anyway, for any seriousness, people would need that. Nobody would be riding without starter relay though. And so at 7,000 kilometers, the right front fork leaked onto the right brakes. It was leaking. So I had to replace the right front rubber bushing, which got me around $15. But then this leak was actually a blessing in disguise. I found that something was wrong with the front brakes. It didn't stop as it used to be. So I brought it to the shop and the guy was like, yeah, of course, the front fork oil was probably just messing up your brakes. Try to fix it, didn't work. So a few days later I just decided, I'll just take this apart and take a look. So I went on to YouTube, take a look at some videos, check out Benelli's manual, and I found that the brake pad switch is all worn out. It's like, wow, okay, those front brakes were really bad. So I replaced them, and they cost me less than $50 anyway for a pair of front brakes and a pair of, actually 2 pairs of front brakes and a pair of rear brakes. Nothing major. Alright, so that was done. The front brakes were excellent, working as it's supposed to be. And then at 9,000 kilometers, I found that the bike's the bike actually started giving me less power for some reason. I was actually, riding on the freeway. Little scooters could catch up to me easily. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, as I was revving it up, the bike would be shaking a little bit. So brought it back to the shop and had a mechanic looking at it. Had a mechanic look at it, and he found that the spark plugs were burnt. So that was the main reason why I was lacking all that power. Then he replaced them, right? But the mechanic was also really good. He actually took some of the hoses and sensors apart to check it all out, clean them up as well, and he found that the fuel hose was actually too long, and something was not right there. And when you put a tank, when you assemble a tank, the hose would be actually be stashed underneath the tank. So he actually cut it short about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. And the hose was actually clear, right? So with the spark plugs replaced, fuel hose fixed, the bike was actually back to its origin. It was going fast. It was really good again. And fast forward a little bit, at 12,000 kilometers, my my gears were actually slipping. So I thought, oh shoot, something was wrong with the gears now. So I brought it back to the same mechanic. He took apart the gearbox and he found that one of the clutch plate was not in order. So, and mind you, I actually never messed it up, never did anything with the gearbox, but it was still there. I was still sleeping. So we came to a conclusion that it was probably just a fault at the factory. So he fixed that. Right, so all in all, in 1 year, those were the troubles that I had with motorcycle. Absolutely nothing major, to be honest. Just sensor, starter relay, front fork, brake pads, spark plugs, and clutches. Honestly, it's nothing that could be fixed. So I was kind of happy with the motorcycle.
Bố đang đi đến khu công nghiệp
And it costs less than what $200 to fix those problems anyway. So, and here it is, guys. Here's what it looks like.
Alright guys, so here it is. This is Benelli Bn 302 2015 model, and I've got this guy like right in July 2018, so that makes it nearly 1 year now, and I've done pretty good 12,000 kilometers on it. Okay, so let me quickly just walk around this bike so you can see. Everything is pretty much in stock, well, except for this rear luggage. I mean, it's really helpful that I have it. Let me actually show you what's inside. It's pretty basic. It's really basic, right? I mean, it's just that I've got, okay, this is the neck protection, my raincoat, my boot cover, and this is my toolkit, and this two big and this huge spanner, I think size 27. Yeah, 27. It's for this bolt and not here, right? It's to adjust my rear wheel, and whenever I need to adjust my chain, this is what I use. Unfortunately, Benelli it's equipped with a really big one. This is 24 and the other one is 27, so that's why I need these two, this huge Allen key and this huge spanner. So this is what I have for. But the bike, it's been reliable and pretty good so far, though I've never really had to use a lot of it. Use a lot of tools really often. And as you can see, my chain is a little bit dirty. I'll probably clean it after this ride. But the bike so far, it's pretty good.
I couldn't be happier with this motorcycle though, right? I mean, I spent over $4,000 for it. And let's take a look at some of the costs that occurred during my 10 months of ownership. So the insurance was $3. Replacement parts and tires is $400, and I've done 12,000 kilometers. Rough amount of fuel consumed was 340, maybe 360 liters, and the fuel cost in Vietnam was about $350 for me. Oil change was $250. That's it. I spent nothing else on it. The total cost was about just over $1,000, and if you take $1,000 divided by 12,000 kilometers, it comes out to about 8 cents per kilometer. Not too expensive, but was enough for me, right? I mean, in Vietnam, we don't earn that much, so riding this bike in Vietnam is considered a bit of a luxury. But overall, I'm pretty happy. So the comfort, the seat was extremely comfortable. I mean, I could go on and on for hours and hours. I wouldn't be tired or anything though. And so this is all the parts that I used to have and that little thing there. Right, that little bushing there, I used to have a problem with it. There was a little bit of an oil leak. So went to the shop, replaced it. It was only like, it cost me like $4, including labors and manual. Mechanics in Vietnam cost cheap, they cost really cheap. So the comfort, yeah, the seat was really good. I could ride for 3 hours without problems, or even 4 hours. After that, yeah, it was a little bit painful. The brakes, as I said before, the brake pads were not really good, but I had them replaced with the braided ones. It's really good now. So, and starter relay is still working, still with me. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this motorcycle. There was nothing else that I would be complaining about for a while now. And I'm looking forward to more kilometers spending riding in Vietnam on this motorbike before I even consider changing it. So going back to July 2018, if I would be asking myself whether I should buy this motorcycle or not, I would say yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's cheap, it feels great, the exhaust sounds awesome, and the cost of ownership is, well, it's expensive comparing to what I earn in Vietnam, but then it's well worth it. I mean, just on the emotional side of it, when I get really tired from listening to my co-workers at work, or my boss nagging all day, for example, right at work, I just go home, ride a motorcycle, and feel good again. Thank you for taking your time and watching this video of my Benelli ownership. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave the comment below. I'll answer them.